It seems to me that the person who coined the phrase, "getting there is half the fun," was not familiar with traveling to and within the island nation of Haiti. For our 2013 FUMC summer mission team, getting there proved to be, right from the start, a big part of the adventure. Let me explain. We rose long before dawn on the morning of Saturday, July 13th, and piled ourselves and our luggage into the 2 church buses for a 75-minute drive to a lonely airstrip outside of Fort Pierce, Florida. We weighed in and prepared ourselves to climb on board a DC-3 airplane that was put in service 69 years ago in 1944, before 23 of our 25 team members were even born. Needless to say, emotions were mixed, especially among our youngest team members, as they anticipated taking off in a prop plane old enough to be their grandmother. But strengthened by our faith in God and our confidence in our experienced Missionary Flights International crew, we took to the early morning skies and settled into the unique 3-leg, 4-hour aviation adventure. As it turned out, other than a little turbulence, a few achy ears, and a bit of nausea, the DC-3 ride was steady and reliable, affording us magnificent views of the early morning cloud formations, the vivid blue waters of the Bahamas, and Haiti's 8th wonder of the world, the incredible mountaintop fortress known as the Citadel. And just past the Citadel, we touched down safely in a large open grassy field, otherwise known as the runway of the International Airport in Pignon, Haiti. Once on the ground, our travel adventures continued as we spent the next 6 days negotiating the rocky, bumpy roads of north-central Haiti, avoiding as best we could the ever-present stream of pedestrians, donkeys, and motorbikes. Half of us rode in the back of a big black pickup truck and waited patiently whenever it had another flat tire. The others rode in a tap-tap, which could best be described as a pickup truck with benches, and waited patiently whenever it decided to break down. Of course, walking was always an option, if you didn't mind sharing the journey with a 4-legged friend, as Everett Rawlings learned here. Maybe the person who coined that phrase was right after all. Getting there is half the fun. It wouldn't be an FUMC youth mission trip without wonderful worship. And our first morning in Haiti, Sunday, July 14th, gave us a rare opportunity to praise God together in a unique setting. We rose early, ate breakfast, and put on our Sunday best. Nobody could remember ever seeing a First Methodist Youth Mission team decked out in neckties and long dresses. Then we boarded our pickup truck limousines for the bumpy 1-hour ride from our home base on the main campus of the Christian School of New Vision in Lejeune to the satellite campus of the school in Dunn. The small, rundown building that greeted us serves as both the schoolhouse and local church in this tiny, remote village. Although worship was well underway by the time we arrived, we were welcomed with open arms and given seats of honor up front facing the congregation. Pastor Tom was invited to preach and through an interpreter shared a message from Ephesians 2, 8 through 10. The little children sang for us, the big children sang for us, the adults sang for us, and we sang for them, and we all prayed and praised together. After the service, we gathered under the beautiful spreading trees beside the little building to get to know our new friends and continue discussing our dream that the First United Methodist Church of Boca Raton will be able in the next few months to begin building a new home for the school and church at Dunn. We headed back to our home base that afternoon with a first-hand understanding of how much a new facility would mean to the children and their families in this special little place. The worship service at Dunn set a perfect tone for the worship services we enjoyed each evening under the gazebo on the main campus at Lejeune. Lieutenant St. Amour, our host, would fire up the electrical generator as nighttime fell, and we would gather in a large circle, Americans and Haitians alike, singing praise to God. Jason Geroy provided the music with his guitar and led the singing, followed each night by a Bible study led by our Director of Student Ministries, Jill Hare, and translated for the Haitian youth by our own team member, Mr. D. Night by night, Sunday through Thursday, Jill walked us through the 5 chapters of the book of James, and we found those scriptures took on a magnified meaning in this foreign land. It's powerful to find yourself in a circle with children whose parents died in the earthquake in Port-au-Prince and hear these words from James chapter 1. Religion that our God accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans. Speaking of the orphans, our worship also included a Wednesday afternoon Bible lesson for the children, led by Pastor Tom, based on Jesus' parable of the sower. Encouraged by members of the youth mission team, the children were invited to act out various parts of the story, like the birds who swooped down to eat the seeds that fell on the road.
Come around, little birds. Go fly and find some seeds.
Or the broiling sun that burned up the seeds that fell in the shallow soil, or the twisting weeds that choked out some of the seeds. But the seeds that fell on good soil, the children learned, grew. A Bible verse demonstrated with radish seeds nurtured in good soil from the moment we arrived. Our daylight hours were devoted in part to a series of work projects on the campus of the school and in the surrounding area. Some members of our team worked alongside a crew of local men on Monday morning to pour a concrete floor for a home where the children had been living on dirt. Converting dirt floors to concrete has enormous health benefits for children, and our church plans to fund many more concrete floors over the next few years in this vicinity. Most of the other work projects focused on the many needs at the main campus of the Christian School of New Vision. Our youth are experienced painters, and there were lots of areas that needed fresh paint. Early in the week, our paint crews tackled the interiors of the 2 buildings that serve as living quarters for the orphans that live on site. The transformation of these rooms was amazing, and the house mother for the boy orphans was delighted with the results. From the dorms, our paint crews moved on to the main classroom building, a large 2-story structure. Some painted exterior walls and hallways, and others painted classrooms, joined throughout the day by Haitian students from the school. Another crew went to work painting the interior of the main room in the school dining hall, a building built a few years ago with funds from our church family. The dining hall has been underutilized since its construction, in part because of insufficient furnishings and equipment. So another work project attempted to take a first step toward providing appropriate furnishings for that dining hall. We were able to purchase enough lumber for the construction of 6 benches to be used either in the classrooms for students to work on or in the dining hall for students to eat at. The lumber was cut on Tuesday afternoon with a delightful and unexpected side effect, a set of blocks for the orphans to play with. Bench construction was undertaken on Wednesday morning. We divided into 6 teams, with each team assigned to assemble a bench from the lumber pre-cut the previous day. And after 3 hours of noisy chaos, 6 teams posed proudly with the 6 benches, which were moved into the empty dining hall facility. Finally, in addition to the improvements made to the buildings on campus, the youth team also undertook a project for the improvement of the grounds, specifically a large open grass area between the 2 dormitory buildings. Although well positioned to serve as a play area for the orphans and other students, the field was a mess, littered with rocks and garbage and other debris. the condition of the area posed a safety hazard for the children. And beyond that, the messy field posed a threat to the children's self-esteem. Our mission team took the time to sweep the field clear of the debris and topped off that project with the installation of 2 simple soccer goals. We hope that future improvements to this part of the campus will instill a sense of pride, ownership, and responsibility among the children who live and play there. Take one open field, add a couple of goals, toss in a soccer ball or 2, and watch the fun begin. Over the course of our 5 days in Lejeune, soccer became one of many ways our team connected with our friends in Haiti. And that's the heart of a great mission trip, making connections, sharing our lives and the love of God with new friends, building relationships that can grow and last over time. Throughout the week, members of our team made a special effort to forge lasting connections. Some of us visited other orphanages in the area and other schools, including a school for deaf-mute children. Some of us had the opportunity to visit with villagers at La Playa at the site of a new freshwater well that was built with money raised at last year's FUMC pumpkin patch. Team member Christine Galinsky served as our Stop Hunger Now liaison. She delivered Stop Hunger Now meals packaged at our church to children at the Christian School of New Vision and 3 other sites. Christine taught them how to prepare and serve the meals, and you only had to see the children's faces to know how much they liked this good new food. On our last night in Haiti, after our worship time, as we took our last cold showers and packed our bags for the journey home, the Haitian young people continued to worship outside in the gazebo, singing and dancing and drumming. Although the words they sang were not in my native language, it was so clear that they were praising God together. And in that moment, I reflected on the universal language of God's love. Love shared in smiles and hugs, on soccer fields and seesaws, through friendships made and meals delivered. Connections made to last.
Language, church, and